Let's talk about Square Enix's recent new trademarks and what they could potentially mean. This is all just speculation and anticipation. I kind of went on a rabbit hole during my research, but let's get odd. There might be spoilers ahead, so if you haven't played the original or you're unfamiliar with the story, just beware of spoilers. So Square Enix filed trademarks for Ever Crisis, The First Soldier, and the Shinra logo on December 17th, 2020, but they were just recently made public. So first, let's take a look at Ever Crisis. Square Enix has used the term Crisis a couple of times before, namely Before Crisis and Crisis Core. Before Crisis was an action RPG mobile game released in 2004. It was a prequel to FF7 focusing on the Turks. It was never released outside of Japan and the game was shut down in 2018. Crisis Core was an action RPG for the PSP released in 2007, and it was also a prequel to FF7 focusing on Zack Fair. So do you think Ever Crisis has anything to do with Before Crisis or Crisis Core? Or do you think Ever Crisis could be a new game? Or could it be potentially the name of the remake part 2? I gotta say, if it ends up being a mobile game, I'd be kind of disappointed. But whatever it is, I just hope it's good. I'm always rooting for these games to be good, no matter what they are. First Soldier could relate to Sephiroth. Do you think this could potentially be a spin-off, part of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII? Sephiroth was the first Shinra soldier to be injected with Genova's DNA, and then eventually descended into madness after learning the truth of his past. But here are my thoughts. Sephiroth is a great character, very interesting, intriguing character. I think delving deeper into the character of Sephiroth could be an interesting project, interesting game or film or whatever it could be. And Final Fantasy as a whole is very inspired by the Star Wars franchise. While I think that could be interesting, and we could have a Star Wars prequel scenario going on, and you know how great those prequels were. I'm actually not a Star Wars prequel hater, but I can't help but think, did we need 3 full movies dedicated to essentially the character of Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader? Spoiler alert. It kind of reminds me of The Walking Dead, how they dedicated 1 or 2 episodes into the backstory of the governor. It's interesting, but do we need it? Once you delve too deep into the backstory of the midichlorians or the explaining of the Matrix sequels or the backstory of John Wick, I can't help but think like they keep expanding this game, and rhetorically speaking, like when is enough enough? And I honestly don't think it'll ever be enough. Not only because this game and this franchise is definitely a moneymaker for Square Enix, but the fans always show up. And myself included and many fans will always show up for anything Final Fantasy VII related or anything Final Fantasy related. That's just how it is. I mean, the franchise is huge at this point and this game is huge, and I will show up for whatever they're able to offer. But I just can't help but wonder, like, when is enough enough? And again, there's nothing confirmed, but if there is a spin-off game or a film dedicated to the backstory of Sephiroth, showing him as a relatable character, as a sympathetic character, it would be an interesting project. I just can't help but wonder, but like when is it one step too far? Like, could this franchise, could this game ever jump the shark? A lot of people probably think it already has jumped the shark, but if they released a Sephiroth game, I'd probably pre-order the first class edition or whatever. I'm a walking contradiction, what can I say? And lastly, the Shinra logo. And again, this literally could be anything. This could be a new game related to Before Crisis. It could be a short film, an animated series, it could be merchandise. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? So as you probably have heard / read / saw by now, there is an interesting pattern that they've been doing, starting with Advent Children, Before Crisis, Crisis Core, Dirge of Cerberus, Ever Crisis, and now First Soldier. It's just an interesting pattern. I mean, what could be next? Maybe something to do with Genesis? That'd be interesting. So as I was going down this rabbit hole of research, I came across an article from November 6, 2018 on Gematsu or Gematsu. Apologies if you're offended by mispronunciation. At a closed event for The World Ends With You Final Remix held on October 30th, 2018, Tetsuya Nomura was answering fan questions. So he had stated that he was currently concentrating on Kingdom Hearts 3 and working on Final Fantasy VII Remake. So he spoke to producer Yoshinori Kitase about ideas regarding Final Fantasy VII Remake, and they were considering various developments in regards to what accompanies the remake. And he says, if we can manage to do something about the compilation of Final Fantasy VII titles too. So this is just an article from over 2 years ago. It doesn't confirm anything, but if one were to connect the two, you could potentially connect this article and the quotes by Tetsuya Nomura and connecting it to the speculation that they are potentially working on projects related to the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think there's any connection here? Do you think these new trademarks are related to Final Fantasy VII Remake DLCs? Do you think any of these could potentially be the name of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2? Also, what was up with this Cloud tweet from Square Enix? I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments. For other videos from Odd Drummer Gaming, click or tap the screen. Don't forget to hit that like button, it helps the video and the channel out. You can follow along on the socials at odd_drummer. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to see more content like this. Stay odd and keep on playing.